Powered by FantasyGuru.com. Monday through Friday at 12 p.m. Eastern Standard Time, 9 a.m. Pacific. Ray Flowers breaks it all down for you from a fantasy sports perspective. Good morning. Welcome to Fantasy Sports Daily, powered by FantasyGuru.com. Got to tell you, the final day here of the show, the computer does not like me. As you can tell there, we're having some issues. Maybe I'll just leave it like this. I don't know why my face looks red. How about that? Let me hold on 1 second. There we go. We'll just do this. How about that? For some unknown reason, my computer... Oh, well, now it's back to my face. You're either going to see my face or my whole body. I don't know what's going on today. It's my last show before my vacation, so maybe the gremlins are just out. I'm Ray Flowers of FantasyGuru.com. Thanks for joining me today. Really appreciate that. I appreciate your time, your support, all that kind of good stuff. Don't forget to go to FantasyGuru.com. Click that subscribe tab in the top right corner. Get signed up for all of our products. Again, I'm Ray Flowers. You can find me on Twitter, X, Instagram, Threads, Blue Sky, all those places at The Ray Flowers. You can see the show live or on demand at youtube.com/@ElitePlusNetwork, facebook.com/FantasyGuruHQ, and on Twitter, X, @FantasyGuruSite. In those three places, you can leave comments and questions that we address throughout the show. And if you're watching live, again, I apologize. I don't know what's going on. I restarted the computer. I updated the software. The company that we utilize to stream all this, which generally speaking, it's 99% of the time, it's fantastic. They made some adjustments recently, and it's causing some wonkiness. So I apologize for that. That will hopefully keep things on track here the rest of the show. You can always go to FantasyGuru.com as well and just get beyond all the visual stuff and just listen to the podcast. Click the Elite Plus tab at the top of the page. Or you can type in Fantasy Sports Daily to wherever you view or listen to, podcast. Just type in Fantasy Sports Daily. I mentioned I'm going on vacation. For those of you that have missed it the last couple of days, as I've been teasing it, this is my final day before I take a vacation. My first real vacation is before COVID. The last time I actually took a vacation was right the week before COVID hit the world. It was back in 2020. So, it's been a while. So I'll be gone starting tomorrow, July 25th to August 2nd. I'll be out. So if you have any questions or comments and all that kind of stuff over at FantasyGuru.com, send it to the rest of the staff because I'm not going to be around for the next week. In terms of the updated rankings, which occur the first of every month for the baseball product, I'm not going to be here, obviously, on August 1st. So those rankings will be updated on August 4th. So a couple extra days here. We'll get a chance to review everything that happens at the trade deadline. A couple extra days. August 4th is when the rankings will be updated, and then we'll return on September 1st for the final month of the season. This show in particular, normally Monday through Friday, 12 to 1-ish Eastern Standard Time. We have a guest on about half an hour through each time. This show will not be on tomorrow on Friday. We're going dark for a day. So no show on Friday, July 25th. Starting next Monday, though I'm gone, Justin Fensterman will be with you all week. So he'll be hosting the show. So the show should be here at 12 o'clock Eastern Standard Time, Monday through Friday next week. Just remember, tomorrow, July 25th, there'll be no show. Just a one-day blackout before Justin takes over the next 5 days next week while I'm away. All right, let's look at some of the talking points for the show today. Here we go. We're going to start out. We'll talk about the drafters deal. It's still going on. We'll talk about all kinds of news and notes. We've got Taj Bradley demoted, which is pretty surprising. We've got Michael McGreevy in our lives now. We've got a shoulder injury to Felix Bautista. We got a lot of things going on. We got Tyler Locklear continuing to go nuclear down on the farm. So we'll talk about that here in a few minutes. We got lots of young guys actually to talk about. Thought I highlighted some of the players that could be promoted soon, who could be part of fantasy squads here in short order. Remember, the trade deadline is coming up here just in a few days. As a result of that, guys will be moving rosters, they'll be trading places, all that kind of stuff. Maybe you can find yourself a player of note that you could add right now before the bidding gets high and aggressive. And as you can tell there, when the camera zooms out, I look like I have a red face, like I was extremely sunburned yesterday. So I'm not really sure what's going on there. Anyway, we'll also talk some football with Tyler Beaker. He'll join us in about 25 minutes. He's on the show every Thursday. Justin Fields is hurt. End of the world? We'll talk about it. It's not the end of the world. At least we don't think it's the end of the world. We'll get into it. But the bottom line is there was an injury to Justin Fields. He was carted off the field. We'll have an update with Tyler as to what we know currently. There was a fake Adam Schefter account that tweeted out he tore his Achilles. People in the world panicked because no one bothered to verify that it was the wrong Twitter account from Adam Schefter. Right now, it's a foot injury, it sounds like. So we'll talk to Tyler Bucher about this a little bit more here in about 25 minutes. We'll also talk about the Niners and the Browns and all the disastrousness of those two offenses. Who are we looking at there? Guys like Godwin, Pickens, Burden at the wide receiver spot. And then Najee Harris, Chase Brown, and Braelon Allen at the running back position. All right, let's make that a little bit smaller. Let's make me a little bit bigger. Let's hope we can get the camera working. We'll see what we can do. Oh, by the way, I mentioned this at drafters.com. For those of you that haven't signed up at drafters.com, it's a football product. It is something that you can take advantage of, something you can have success with. We've got articles on how to do it over at fantasyguru.com. You can use the promo code Elite Reload, one word, at drafters.com, Elite Reload, for a 20% bonus match if you've already signed up there. If you've never signed up there, go to drafters.com/refer/elite. Okay. /refer/elite. Do that. You can get a 100% bonus match up to $500. I think those are still available. If they're not working for some reason when you try to sign up for that Drafters Best Ball contest, which will have a lot of overlay, it's not going to fill. And there's millions of dollars here available. It's not going to fill. So you really should be considering signing up. Use those promo codes. Use that link to sign up. If you do that, I'll throw that on the screen here real quickly. That's the wrong one. There's the right one. We'll throw it on the screen real quickly. Sign up now. Read Tyler Bucher's work over at fantasyguru.com, those drafter articles specifically talking about this contest. Do the best ball, win some money. So check it out. Again, drafters.com/refer/elite for new signups. For returning people, use the promo code Elite Reload. All right, let's get into it here. Michael McGreevy is going to start Sunday against the Padres. The Cardinals said adios, Eric Fede. They were hoping to obviously get something from him at the trade deadline, and unfortunately, that's just not the case. Not going to happen. So they let him go. They DFA'd him. We'll see where he ends up. Someone will take a chance on him at some point, but when you DFA somebody, what'll probably happen is no one will make a move on him. The Cardinals will then release him. They'll be on the hook for the majority of his contract, and the new team will just play the major league minimum the rest of the way. That's probably how it's going to happen. That age is pitching like butt. So the Cardinals determined that there was just no way that they were going to get anything at the trade deadline of note for him, so they just let him go. Michael McGreevy is going to ostensibly take his spot in the rotation. McGreevy is a nice talent. He's not a dominant pitcher. He's more of a touch and feel kind of guy. He's not a big strikeout arm. He's a streaming option in most mixed leagues. There's some excitement there in St. Louis land. I don't think we should have as much excitement in baseball, fantasy baseball land, but he is a name to know. He's a name that you could, consider streaming the rest of the way against the Padres. Padres have been a little bit slow here of late, that kind of thing. But, he just held the Rockies, did McGreevy to 2 runs over 7 innings his last time out. So, he's a touch and feel kind of guy. Not a bad addition right now, but I would still consider him a streaming option in mixed leagues. Taj Bradley is the bigger news story. Taj Bradley, he's been inconsistent, and he's really been inconsistent for a good portion of his major league career. We've talked about the fact that the stuff is great. We've talked about the fact that on the right day, we've talked about the fact that on the wrong day. There's just a lot of things going on here. Let's see if I can get that. A lot of things going on here with the consistency piece of Taj Bradley. And after struggling, going on inning and 2/3 and allowing 4 runs against the White Sox in what appeared to be a get-right spot, the Rays demoted him. And I saw Kevin Cashner's video of Kevin Cash talking about the situation, and he commended Taj Bradley for being a pro, for handling it like a man, if that's the right way to say it. It's probably not. But Bradley understands and gets it. And so he's going to go down to the farm and try to figure things out. If you have Taj Bradley in an AL-only league, I'm holding them. Any mixed league at this point, we're moving on. Unless there's a keeper scenario, the 29th round keeper, and you're playing that game or something like that, or a dynasty league, of course. Looks like the assumption is, obviously, that Joe Boyle will take over the spot in the rotation. Boyle adding a splitter this season has really taken his game to another level. Note that he's done a really good job controlling the walks, but that had been a huge issue for him coming into this season, so that's a little uncertainty. Joe Boyle is somebody, McGreevy's got the higher floor than Boyle. Boyle's clearly got the higher ceiling than McGreevy. So it's kind of like, what are you looking for? What is your need? Boyle is the guy we can dream on. Boyle could be Taj Bradley. Boyle could be Edward Cabrera, right? The good and bad both. But that's a really live arm with Boyle. The addition of the splitter allowing him to get more ground balls, work through some quicker at bats. Really nice. So we don't have to worry about Boyle working with Rasmussen anymore. Now we'll get Boyle probably starting for himself. Does open up a spot for Rasmussen to work with somebody else because, none of us really think that Rasmussen is going to throw 6 innings every time out the rest of the way. In fact, he hasn't done that in a while now. But Boyle likely to be in the rotation for the Rays, and he's worth an addition in your fantasy squads. Zach Eflin returned from injury. Now, he didn't look great, but he gave up a couple runs in 5 innings against the Guardians. He did strike out 5, so that was a very effective outing. And in the case of Eflin, it's really unclear what the future holds in the short term. Are the Orioles going to trade him? Are they going to blow up the whole team? We'll talk about an injury that they're dealing with right now in just a second. So in the case of Eflin, it very easily could end up being on another squad. I wouldn't anticipate a team trading for Zach Eflin and putting him in the bullpen, so that shouldn't be a factor. They're going to make a trade for him to put him in the rotation if they're adding him. At this point, given what we've seen this year, given his health concerns this year, Eflin streaming. I don't expect him to go out and post a 3.711 series of ratios here the rest of the way. Not saying it's impossible, because it's not impossible, but there's no reason to expect that to occur with Zach Eflin. Here is the news on Felix Bautista. Felix Bautista has been placed on the 15-day injured list with right shoulder discomfort. This comes obviously at a brutal time for the Orioles. Talking to Phil Backup this morning about the situation with the Orioles. Disastrous. Just disastrous. This season could not really have gone much worse than it has. Grayson Rodriguez may not throw a single pitch this year. All the injuries they've dealt with, both on the offensive and the pitching side. Felix Bautista was a name that we heard mentioned frequently here the last couple of weeks as somebody that the Orioles might actually trade. No one's trading for a guy that's hurt now. So they're stuck with him. Not that that's a bad thing long-term, but they're not going to be able to capitalize on him. Wasn't available to pitch last night. Said he wasn't feeling right. Today we're learning that it's a shoulder issue. We'll see. I'm reading the report as we're talking here. There's nothing official yet. We don't really know what this means. So is the season over? We don't know. Felix Bautista obviously is not going to get traded. He'll be part of the Orioles the rest of the way, whether he pitches or not. Who takes over the 9th inning? Sir Anthony Dominguez. I mean, this is a scenario where a lot of times we talk about this when the closer goes down, there's not an obvious pivot. Here's the answer to the question. Sir Anthony Dominguez is there. Soto is there. Cano is there. So those are 3 guys that are very likely to be in the mix. I would favor Sir Anthony Dominguez because he's the righty. And he's pitched pretty well this season. It's a dicey situation. Dicey situation for the Orioles. Next up, Kirby Yates, talking about bullpens. Kirby Yates came into the game yesterday, and for the first time in 459 appearances as a big leaguer, going back forever, years, he walked 3 guys. Never happened before. In fact, 2 walks only occurred in 37 of his 459 appearances. So what happened yesterday? Totally banana pants. He charged 2 runs against the Twins. Vesia came in, got one of the runs charged to him. Bottom line right now, Yates and Vesia are still the guys to own in this bullpen with the Dodgers. They've got all these injuries they're dealing with. Blake Treinen's working his way back in the minor leagues right now. He's getting close to being activated. For now, it's Yates and Vesia, the 9th inning. I would still slightly favor Yates as the guy right now. We got the update with Tanner Scott. He's not going to be out long-term. That's the expectation right now with his arm situation. So, Yates should be the guy. What we saw yesterday never happened. It's literally never happened in his entire career to him. Wouldn't expect that one effort to be something that causes the Dodgers to bail on Kirby Yates. Luis Heel working his way back from that lat issue that's precluded him from throwing a single pitch this season in the bigs. We were hoping he'd be activated for his next outing. Could be. Could happen. But yesterday he threw down at AAA. He threw 67 pitches, 44 strikes. Walked 3 guys, gave up 5 runs. That's a messy outing. And, we already heard prior to this start for Luis Heel that we were unclear, that the Yankees were unclear, at least publicly, if they were going to bring him up or give him another start in the minor leagues. Given the way he looked yesterday, I'm kind of thinking they give him one more minor league start and then we see him in August. We'll see. And when we see in August, because he's up to 67 pitches, next time out he throws 78 pitches, they could put him in the rotation. And I think that's obviously their plan, is to reinsert him in that rotation. His role down the stretch will depend on his effectiveness and what the Yankees do or don't do at the trade deadline. Sorry, I was making a little adjustment there. That's another thing to think about with him. Good news with Hunter Greene. I think it's good news. We've had the bad news with Hunter Greene, so it's really one of those scenarios where it's like, well, it's good or bad. We don't really know what's going on here. He's got the groin issue right now that he's dealing with. Had the setback recently. He threw 2 scoreless innings yesterday at the rookie level Arizona Complex League. We've heard a lot of guys working their way back from injury starting out there. He only threw 28 pitches yesterday, so let's not get ahead of ourselves. But that's his first rehab outing since June when he went on the injured list with the groin issue. So positive, we're moving forward, all that kind of stuff. Mid-August is probably a fair return date at this point. Because again, he threw 28 pitches, and there's a long way he's got to work up before they get him back out there. So Hunter Greene, I had a question the other day about making a trade for Hunter Greene. It's just so tough. Given the setbacks, given the fact that it was his back and his groin, given the fact he only threw 28 pitches yesterday, 4 strikeouts, 2 scoreless, great start. When you're pitching against that level and you throw 99 miles an hour, you should have success. I mean, so good first step for Hunter Greene, but we're still weeks away from his return to the big leagues. Talking about some of the guys on the offensive side of things before we talk some football here in about 10 or so minutes. Nick Lofton. Nick Lofton was placed on the 7-day injury list. Why do I bring that up? Because, of course, we talked earlier this week about how I added Nick Lofton for his positional flexibility and the fact he was doing well. So it's, of course, an injury because, again, you pick up a guy to fill in for an injured guy and then that guy gets hurt. That's how it goes. But the real news here is MJ Melendez has been promoted from AAA. Melendez has been incredibly streaky as a big league player. There have been moments in time where he's been way worse than league average. There have been moments of time where he's been pretty good. And all throughout it, he's had some pretty good batted ball data that's always hinted at the potential for him to be better than he's actually been. There's also a swing change that he's enacted and all these kind of things. Bottom line is he had a slow start to the season, sent to minor leagues, wasn't exactly killing it down on the farm. But the last month, he's found his stroke. So the last month prior to his promotion to the big leagues, MJ Melendez was hitting .320 with 6 home runs and 1,000 OPS. It's unclear how long Melendez will stay. He's obviously way less attractive as an outfielder versus a catcher. He used to be catcher eligible. He's no longer catcher eligible, right? So unless you're I can't say that. In some commissioner products, he might be catcher eligible. He shouldn't be. If he is, add him. If he's an outfield only play, put him on a watch list, up to you. 15-team mixed league, 5 starting outfielders. You want to bid 1 or 2% on MJ Melendez? Sure. Would you get aggressive? I would not. And for those of you in smaller leagues, monitor this. The Royals starting to hit. We'll talk about Pasquantino in a second. We talked about Salvador Perez earlier this week. If Bobby Witt's injury to his leg is okay, and it seems like it is, like this offense could end up being a little better. There's rumors they might make a trade. So MJ Melendez could sneak into viability in a mixed league. Right now, I'm a little bit reluctant to suggest that's the case. Vinnie Pasquantino last night had a double, 4 RBIs, because he had 2 home runs. He had a great day, did Pasquantino. Perez also had a home run yesterday. Here we go. More home runs from Perez. Pasquantino, that's his 3rd game of 2 home runs. His season has been a little disappointing. But, he's come along of late here, really since that terribly slow start. He last year had 19 home runs, 97 RBIs, hit .260. This year he's hitting .260. He's got 17 home runs, 61 RBIs. So he's on pace to have the same batting average, to have the same OPS, to hit the same amount of home runs, but fall a little bit behind in the RBI column. Could he change that? Sure. He has 20 RBIs the last 24 games. So, it's frustrating when a younger-ish player like Pasquantino with a lot of promise kind of develops and ends up being just a guy. Now, remember, Josh Naylor was kind of just a guy for years till his game went to another level too. So this is not precluding Pasquantino from being somebody in keeper leagues and all that kind of stuff that you could look forward to in the future, potentially getting better. Right now, kind of just a guy at the corner infield spot, but one that is moving along in the right direction. Brandon A asked the question here. Happy Friday. People, Ray, what the hell's going on with Marcell Ozuna? Straight benched. Are you kidding me? Send him to San Diego immediately. The problem for Ozuna really is that he hasn't hit in 2 months. That's the first problem. Secondly, his hip is probably part of the issue here. There's been a lot of talk about him needing a procedure potentially at the end of the season. So he's not 100% physically. He's not hitting in 2 months, and he can't play defense. that's a limited player. And the Braves have made the decision for now they're going to move on. The expectation in a lot of circles is that Ozuna gets traded. We'll see. We have seen Ozuna, including this year, at the start of the season, he had a 450 on base percentage, leading baseball on base percentage for a while there. We have seen him be obviously a very effective offensive player, but the lack of productivity for an extended period of time. I mean, what's his OPS down to? Let's pull him up. I think his OPS is barely 700 last I looked. Of course, it would help if my internet worked. There's my internet. Let's see here. His OPS, 749. The slugging percentage down to 389. Still taking a walk. Still got a good on-base percentage, but his offensive game is just not. He just stuck in neutral. So Brandon is probably going to take a trade for something positive to occur. That's the expectation right now. We'll see how it goes. I don't know if physically he can get it done this year. That's the open-ended question. Another question here from Bick Nicoli. Ray, I was wondering if you thought Logan Allen was a viable streaming option today versus Baltimore. I will be honest with you, Bick, excuse me. This show starts for me. I get up at 6:45 in the morning. I'm on the computer at 7 o'clock, doing all this work. By the time this show starts, it's 9 o'clock. I'm answering all the questions in Discord, and I'm prepping for this show. I haven't broken down this slate of pitching yet. I usually do that right after the show. So that's, I'm a little. Let me pull up some notes here real quickly and see if I can give you a moderate answer. Logan Allen has pitched better of late. There's no disputing that fact. I think that Logan Allen, if I could click on the right, where is my right? There we go. Takes a while to find things here sometimes. Sorry about that, Vic. Against Baltimore, it's that small slate today. I mean, if I was starting Logan Allen in a head-to-head, okay. In a roto league, I don't know what you really gain here. I would say he's on the lower end, even in the small slate. He's on the lower end of guys I'd be looking to turn to today. The Orioles, as we mentioned, is a messy lineup. Their lineup today is Holiday, Westberg, Henderson, Laureano, O'Neill, Urias, Mayo, Carlson, and Jackson. So at least they've got their first four guys going right now. Logan Allen has got all the guys on his offensive side supporting him. But Allen himself, as my mouse now, decides not to work. All kinds of problems today. Maybe it's a good time to take a vacation. The last 4 times out, he's allowed 3 or fewer earned runs, has allowed a home run in 3 of the last 4 outings, doesn't beat himself with the walk, doesn't get a ton of strikeouts. I'm trying to see here. He has not faced Baltimore this season. No, I take that back. He did face Baltimore back in April on tax day. 2 hits, no runs allowed in 5 2/3 innings. Again, Logan Allen is a solid option today. He's in a nice groove right now, but he's a league average guy. So I think, Vic, it's really about your matchup. Would I be jazzed about rolling him out there? No. Would I give the thumbs up if you needed a start or innings? Yeah, it's okay. So I hope that makes sense. Speaking of offense, let's talk a little bit more about that before we've got some guys to blast through here before we talk to Tyler Beaker here. Isaac Paredes, there was a comment here that I poo-pooed the other day about Isaac Paredes. I think it was here. Maybe it was in Discord. Maybe it was both. About Paredes being potentially out long-term with the hamstring injury. I said, look, we didn't have the information yet. Whoever said that, you were right. I was wrong. It does appear to be a scenario with Paredes that he's going to have significant time loss with the hamstring injury. Looks like they're going to go Maurice Dubon at third base right now. They called up Brice Matthews. They'll put him at second base. We're still waiting for the clarity on Paredes and how long he's going to be out. But significant is the word that was used with Paredes. So a month more. So that's a significant blow to the offense of the Astros. And boy, do they need to get Yordan Alvarez back. Brice Turang went 3 for 5 last night with a double, 3 RBIs. Now, that's great to see from Brice Turang because Brice Turang the night before, I think he had 4 strikeouts. I think he had a golden sombrero the night before. Let's pull him up. Turang, somebody who was wildly overvalued. We talked about that in the preseason. He had a great season last year with those 50 steals. You look at him right now, he's got 18 steals. I mean, is he going to get halfway to 50? He's playing every day. His run scored total is going to go up. Maybe his home runs and RBIs too a little bit. And he's hitting 279. So it's not been a throwaway season, but he's a 320 WOBA guy. He's basically league average there. Again, you ostensibly picked him up for the speed, and he's not delivering that. So even if his bat continues to be slightly better than last year, does it matter? I mean, does it matter if he hits 9 home runs with 59 RBIs and scores 82 runs? You know, I mean, you could have got Nico Horner rounds later in the draft to be just the same guy, if not better. So just to check in there, there's always a chance he picks things up on the speed piece, but the fact that the Brewers, what they're doing is working, they're winning all these games. You know, I think it's kind of is what it is. Brice Turang, a little disappointing. Tyler Locklear. Tyler Locklear is out of control right now. And I'm kind of ruined. I was going to pick him up this last week. It really was. I had 3 guys I wanted to get in my Dynasty League. I only had room for 2 on my roster. Tyler Locklear was the 3rd guy. So I got the 2 that I wanted. Didn't get Tyler Locklear. No one picked him up. So I'm kind of thinking, I hope I get him this week. Now, it's different. In my Dynasty League, we have 45-man rosters. So totally different than what you've got going on here. But he went 4 for 4 on Tuesday. He went 4 for 4 on Wednesday. That's 8 for 8. 3 home runs. Yeah. Tyler Locklear is going to get called up here at some point by the Mariners. Or there'll be a trade and he's a guy that goes out of town to somebody. We'll see how it plays out. But I would anticipate, given his overall effectiveness this season and given the I think my mouse is broken. This has been a hell of a morning already. The mouse is freaking out. Given his effectiveness, given his prospect status, he's kind of just a guy, a really, more power than hit. But this year in his work at AAA, he's got 17 home runs and 17 steals, hitting like 330. And his OPS is 950. Like, he's been fantastic, powered by those last 2 days. You go 8 for 8 with 3 home runs, people take notice. So keep an eye on the rumor mill there. You could see him utilized as a piece that the Mariners need. You could see him promoted and given an opportunity to play at the big league level. I mean, you look at right now, they've got Luke Raley at first base, who's fine. They could move Luke Raley to the outfield if Dominic Canzone slows down. Jorge Polanco is spending a lot of time at DH. We'll see. So Locklear is an interesting name. We'll put him on the watch list. But realize that when he gets promoted, people are going to look at his minor league numbers. They're going to see 330. They're going to see 2020 basically, and they're probably going to get way aggressive with him. I would anticipate Locklear coming to the big leagues and being a 250, 25 kind of hitter with 10 or 15 steals, kind of like Luke Raley last year. That'd be kind of my expectation. Others will be more excited about him. Chase DeLauter, who we've talked about here, who should have been up at this point of the season with the Guardians, injured yet again. He had his right hamate bone fracture, so he had the surgery to remove that, as we discussed, I think it was last week. Hamate bone injuries, no long-term concern. You have the surgery, the piece of the bone is removed from your wrist. It's never an issue again, but he's going to miss 6 to 8 weeks. Almost certain we're not going to see DeLauter at the big league level this year. It's like almost a completely wasted season for him. Really difficult for his development. Colson, Montgomery, for those people that took a shot there, pretty good returns here. He went, 2 or 5 last night with the home run. The numbers with Colson Montgomery are not going to be stupendous. He plays for a crappy team, but 16 games played. He's got a couple home runs, driven in 12, batting .275, taking some walks, got an .820 OPS. Colson Montgomery could be on the waiver wire. He has played 10 games at shortstop and 6 at third base. It'd be great if he got 20/20 there, so he's dual position eligible next season. But Colson Montgomery, into our lives is someone you could potentially pick up this weekend. And then finally, Francisco Lindor broke his 0 for 31 skid with 2 hits, a couple of RBIs. His on-base percentage is basically league average right now. It's going to get better. There was a question in Discord about a trade involving him earlier today. And, to me, Francisco Lindor has been horrible for a month. We haven't heard injury with him. I'm keeping the faith. A guy like Lindor, super talented, super consistent. Don't give up on Lindor on the cheap. Could consider adding him on the cheap if someone is panicking with Francisco Lindor. Jim C says, Ray, thought you were on vacation. Starts tomorrow, Jim. I wish it was today, given all the tech issues I've had today. But just a reminder to Jim and everybody else, my vacation starts tomorrow. I'll be returning on August 3rd. Again, the baseball rankings will be updated on August 4th at fantasyguru.com for the rest of the season. Next week, I won't be here to host the show. Justin Fensterman will be here all week hosting the show, 12 o'clock Eastern Standard Time as normal. We are going dark tomorrow, the 25th of July. But we'll be back next Monday, and Justin will be hosting all week long. Okay, so that's the baseball talk. let's talk some pigskin, some gridiron, some football with a guy who was in Discord this morning, who was bobbing and weaving trying to tell folks, don't panic about reports that aren't accurate or reports that aren't even reports. Don't read into reports, which I saw happening in Discord. So let's bring in Tyler Beaker. Tyler, it's already been a busy morning. How you doing? Oh, Tyler, where are you at, Tyler? Tyler's camera's down. There's Tyler.
Oh, there we go. Oh, I was like, well, that's the worst timing for a freeze. I'm good. Trying to get everybody on the right page with reading Adam Schefter versus Adam Scheffler kind of tweets. That was the big thing.
Yeah, we still do that, don't we?
Unfortunately.
And I do this all the time because we're all on social media all the time. And when you see something that's big, check. Right? Like, Kayvon Turpin, who cares? Justin Fields, let's check and make sure that the storyline is accurate. What we heard from the fake report is that he was hurt, he was carted off the field, and his Achilles was blown. That's not at all the case with Justin Fields. What actually is going on with Justin Fields this morning, Tyler?
The latest reports are a dislocated toe. They are expecting him to be ready for week 1. But the phrasing of that, being ready for week 1, means we're looking at 6 weeks for a guy who still needs to do all of the training camp and preseason practice, missing all those valuable reps, that time, and that rapport building with his teammates. Really, really impactful to not have Fields during this time. So it's kind of a bit of a bummer for a guy that I thought had a potential breakout campaign underway. Perhaps that gets off to a slow start, but it'll be something to monitor here as we progress. Again, it's a toe injury, so I don't want to take too much weight with it, but we're just still looking at the preliminary reports, if I can get that word out. And I believe it was because a lineman stepped on his foot, which is really the impetus of this injury. So that's what we're looking at as of now. We know Justin Fields, when healthy, fantastic fantasy producer, consistent rusher. The fantasy points per drop back are just out of this world. We just need him to stay healthy, and this is not the greatest start.
Tyler Beaker, fantasyguru.com. As you can see there on the screen, we've got the promo code up for the drafters.com event. There's going to be all kinds of overlay. It's not going to fill up, folks, so really get over there. If you've never signed up before, you can use the link drafters.com/refer/elite. You get a 100% bonus match up to $500. If you have signed up with drafters.com for their best ball work, use the promo code Elite Reload. It's one word, Elite Reload. And then you can go to fantasyguru.com and read Tyler's work. He's got a whole best ball guide, including specific articles for that drafters.com tournament. Are you increasing number of teams in that event, Tyler, as we get further into it, and it seems the likelihood of it filling or diminishing?
I had always planned on doing my most drafts in August, where I wanted to purposefully wait this year to see how my results fared if I waited until August instead of being bored in the middle of May and throwing out some drafts because I got nothing to watch on TV.
I mean, and last year, what did you have, like 150 drafts? The best ball?
I maxed it out on drafters.
So Tyler's our guy, folks. If you have questions about that, read the articles over at FG, click the subscribe tab in the top right corner, send him comments, questions, all that kind of stuff in Discord. You can also hit him up on Twitter X at Tyler Beaker. Speaking of the Jets one more time before we move on, Tyler, they've got this running back who's pretty good. They've got this running back who's been quite effective at the NFL level. And then they've got these other backup running backs, and we just keep getting the storylines. Braelon Allen, whoopie-doo, like Isaiah Davis. Like, these guys are going to take over the backfield from Brice Hall. What's your take on this? Is this media-driven? Do you think we're legitimately going to be in a scenario where Brice Hall's touching it 12 times a week and they're using 3 guys? Talk to us about this, because in some circles, that Braelon Allen love is getting pretty loud.
Yeah, I'm not convinced on this one. I really don't believe they're going to rotate backs as heavily as others may believe that. All these comments and thoughts, they all stem from the owners meeting, which was back in late March, early April, when a person shoved a mic into Aaron Glenn's face right after he got the job and asked him what he thought of the running backs. What's he supposed to do there? He's going to talk highly of every single person there. He praised each back. I'm personally of the belief that Brice Hall is far too talented to not merit a bell cow role. He's a special talent. We saw the efficiency drop last year, yes, but I expect that to return with a rushing mobile quarterback in Justin Fields who can hold those opposing defenses and defenders in the box and create some better paths for the explosive Brice Hall to run out and get back to those explosive carries that we're used to seeing him. He's a special talent. He's a bargain in round 3 in my eyes. He's a guy I've been cooking quite a bit. I have not been drafting a lot of Braelon Allen or Isaiah Davis, but I think they're fine late round clicks, but they're more just contingency clicks. I still think this really is going to be the Brice Hall show.
Tyler Beaker of fantasyguru.com joins us every Thursday at about 12:30 Eastern Standard Time. 2 teams I want to talk about, one on the West Coast, one in Middle America. Let's start out with the Niners. Who on the Niners are you drafting? And I say that because there's a lot of questions. We don't know the health of the receivers. Kittle, everyone loves, but he's old, he's aggressive, he's injured at times. The backfield, CMC, some people believe in Purdy, being a top 10 kind of quarterback. Other people say there's no way in hell. Like, who are you specifically targeting, given their cost and given everything that's swirling around? Is there a name or two with the Niners that you're looking at?
I know you got a San Francisco background behind you.
I do. My SF Giants jacket too.
There you go. I am going to join you on that train where I am extremely, extremely bullish on almost everybody in San Francisco. I think it's a great spot for us to buy Niners where they are deeply suppressed in their current prices relative to what we've seen in years past. CMC, a consistent top 5 option. You can get him at the 1-2 turn. I just drafted him in round 2 of a draft just not too long ago. This guy, when healthy, though, he's able to break fantasy. And I like to play for first place. I don't really care about 4th. I don't care about the median outcomes. I really just want the top end outcomes. And I talked about Christian McCaffrey in the lens of the same conversation of like Derrick Henry, where they make sense to me more in large field tournaments where you're trying to get rewarded with that huge ceiling outcome whenever CMC's the most healthy and productive back. I noted a few shows back on this Fantasy Sports Daily where there are very few backs that are capable of putting up 350 plus PPR points over the last decade. I believe only 8 have, or maybe 10 have, and McCaffrey had 4 of 10. So this guy is just consistently putting up these big ceilings here, where I think there's a chance that people are just kind of writing him off for dead after the way last year went, which was about as poor as possible. We got those returns week 1, and everyone was just incredibly frustrated. But when he came back, he was able to finally produce. It was a slower start, which should be expected. A guy coming back from injury, there's supposed to be eased back in. But we did see that Buffalo game. I think he was extremely productive on the ground there prior to injury, or just on a limited number of touches there. Garendo, we saw spot starts as well. Very explosive player, also injury prone, but I'm fine grabbing CMC around 1-2 turn and then making sure to prioritize Garendo as the cuff, because this is a backfield that will go to one guy singularly often. It's just the Shanahan path. And that's what we like in fantasy. We don't like these timeshares like the Jets are talking about. We want the bell cows. So give me CMC. I think he's a chance to win your league. I think a lot of people are a bit too nervous on that, but I'm not that person. George Kittle, another consistent fantasy top end producer at the tight end position year after year. The yak not going away. You can argue that the wide receiver position takes a bit of a step backwards. Perhaps that means Kittle sees more targets. I'm buying the Kittle rise in ADP. He's gone from a round 5, round 4 click all the way to 3-4 right now, where you're starting to have to spend a lot for Kittle, where that gap between him and Bowers and McBride is slowly starting to close in terms of shrink up. Yeah, where Kittle's going off the board now. And then Juwan Jennings threatened to hold out, didn't hold out at all. He's back in practice, kicking butt. We got Pearsall on the pup list, Ayuk on the I guess he'll also be slated for pup, and Debo out of the picture. So I'm buying Juwan Jennings in the breakout we saw last year when healthy. And Brock Purdy, I mean, this guy just continues to get it done in my eyes. Since entering the league as a starter, he's number 1 in EPA per pass. This guy has been a consistent fantasy guy that has been top 12 producing, despite not being one of the most mobile guys. Last year, we finally saw some of that mobility out of necessity with everybody injured. But I'm still buying the Shanahan offense, who there were 57 total snaps last year where it was Purdy, CMC, Kittle, Ayuk, Debo, all healthy together at the same time. And this team was still top 12 across the board in almost every offensive category. So if we get these guys healthy, I think there's a chance that the Niners, at a discounted rate, mind you, let me keep repeating that. These guys are discounted relative to what we had to pay in seasons past, has a chance to really put up some big fantasy weeks. It's a team I want to stack in best ball.
Tyler Beaker, fantasyguru.com. 57 snaps. Whew, that's not a game,
it's like one game.
Yeah, it's wow. there's a lot of discounted guys with this next team, and I don't know what to do with it. What are we doing with the Browns? We still don't know who the quarterback is. Now we're getting reports Kenny Pickett was the first guy under center for 11-on-11 drills. We know that this team, Kevin Stefanski the other day said, I want to decide who the quarterback is sooner rather than later, which in theory leads you toward Flacco or Pickett being week one quarterback, which I think makes sense. We don't know still. They're two vastly different players. One guy they probably want to throw in 23 times a game. The other one's throwing it 40 times a game. The running back situation with Judkins, we don't know what the hell's going on with his situation. What are we doing with the Browns? Like, to me, I'll take Jerome Ford in the 12th round, but now the problem is Jerome Ford's going in the 9th round. He's going in the 8th round. Like, anyone with this Browns team we're focused on at this point.
It's tough. I mean, like you said, it's a complete disaster in terms of what we're expecting there. I can't really advocate anybody aside from some dart throws and best ball, which I've been doing a few times with Jerry Jeudy, a few times with David Njoku, but seldomly taken Cedric Tillman, rarely taken the end of the running backs. And I think I've taken like one shot at Flacco, one shot at Shador, but these are just final round clicks where I don't think they're actually going to pan out into anything. I don't like anybody. I'm really not going to advocate and go to bat for anybody here because we don't have to. Fantasy football is about not only the choices you do make, it's also about the choices you don't make. And if you choose to opt out of selecting Cleveland players for fantasy, I won't blame you at all.
Tyler Beaker of fantasyguru.com. We got the news that Chris Godwin was not ready to go at the start of everything here, which to me wasn't very surprising. I'm coming back from a significant injury. Some people act like it was shocking news. It's like, well, this was always certainly 50-50 kind of potential. We did hear, though, that there was a cleanup procedure back in April. Now, it is July, so April, May, June. Took almost 4 months for us to hear about this, which tells you something about beat reporting in the NFL anymore. What are you doing with Chris Godwin? Because there was a point where everyone was in, then people got a little nervous. Is there an opportunity now? Are you concerned? It was supposedly a cleanup procedure that wasn't a big deal. This does happen. Guys have cleanup procedures after the initial significant surgery. But where are we at right now with Chris Godwin, who obviously was terrific last year? You've talked about the success he had last season when on the field. What are we doing with Chris Godwin right now?
It's a great question. I think this is the best example we have of how manic social media is in terms of how much we love to panic about every news report that comes out or doesn't come out, like this one specifically.
Right.
Yeah, I agree with you. What did we not hear about this cleanup? Not that it matters greatly because a cleanup's not really like a second surgery or anything like that. It's more of just a minor procedure. But just the fact that it wasn't reported is interesting. Godwin probably drops from the round 6-7 turn to maybe just flat round 7 right now. I think at most we'll probably see a dip of 12 spots. I will still be interested in selecting him, but I kind of mentioned every time we talked about Godwin or any of the Bucks that Egbuka is a player that I've been wanting to really draft heavily this year. Emeka Egbuka, the round one pick out of Iowa State, a very talented wide receiver that they took in terms of I believe the GM he had the quote that Egbuka was a pick for the future and for now. And I think that's best exemplified here where we have the possibility that he could take over right away for Godwin if Godwin were off to a slow start. And he has the ability to play both inside, outside. Mike Evans is 31, has recurring hamstring injuries. Wouldn't shock to see him break down at some point or maybe just a small period. So my take here really is to just buy the dip on Godwin because we've seen him in years past also come back from injury and be ramped up and get ready for week one. I think that same thing is taking place right now where people are just kind of panicking because it's news and they just want to react to something. I don't think everything that we get in terms of news or tweets is reactionary. Some of it's more just things to take note of. This is one where we're going to be looking for a drumbeat one way or the other with respect to Godwin, but I'm still drafting him that 7-ish round, and I'm drafting Egbuka, who had been like a round 10 pick on some platforms. He's climbed up into round 9, and I'm chasing that uptick with Egbuka still. You can even throw in Jalen McMillan, too, if you would like to, who got a little bit of positive coach speak the other day where they talked about him potentially being a player on the rise. Yeah, I think that's where I am. I'm buying Godwin. I'm buying Egbuka. Those are the primary clicks for me.
Tyler, one guy who we've seen a lot of things transpire, greatness on the field, head-scratching behavior on the field, insanity off and on the field, is George Pickens, right? Like he's we all know the talent. Like we've all seen the talent. We see him make plays and we're like, yeah, he's going to Dallas. It seems like a great fit on paper. It's going to help the offense. He's going to stretch the field. That second weapon behind Lamb, Prescott's healthy, all that kind of stuff. This is another player, kind of like Braelon Allen, but in a different way, that continues to get this positive drumbeat. Pickens is going to be drafted. He's going to be started most weeks and all formats across the land. What are we doing with this? Because it's, at some point, if the ADP continues to rise with a guy like George Pickens, does it hit a point where you're, whoa, we got to pump the brakes here? Because, he's still not getting 10 targets a week. Like we're not, I'm not expecting that. Maybe you are, but it seems like people have, even if on the field stuff is fantastic for Pickens, are totally discounting the nonsense that he brings. And I said this the other day when I think I was talking to Armando about this. George Pickens goes out there in week 4 and gets 3 targets. He's flinging his helmet. He's going in the locker room and screaming. Like, yeah, we all get it. But is this going to be appreciably different than what we saw with the Steelers?
That's the big question. Because on paper, like you said, it's a fantastic fit. Since entering the league in 2022, Pickens leads all receivers in percentage of targets, 20-plus air yards down the field at 28.3%. He now links up with Dak Prescott, who, since entering the league in 2016, Prescott's number 4 in passer rating on deep throws of 20-plus air yards, 8th in accuracy. So I'm viewing this as like a symbiotic relationship where they really help each other. And for that reason, I'm kind of really in on the Dallas Cowboys as a bounce-back offense, this year in 2025. I think the Schottenheimer edition could see a bit more pass volume as well. Throw in the statistics of Arthur Smith's offense, and it's just a lot of things going in Pickens' direction in terms of more volume and opportunity here in 2025. I would not be shocked if, Lamb's going to be the number 1 target earner, but behind him, it's wide open. And this is a team that I expect to be throwing quite a bit. So I think there will be more often than not most games with more than 3 targets for him. Mm-hmm. But if he can just refrain from turning football games into boxing matches, I think he could be a superstar. He could be a breakout. Somebody asked me a list of potential dynasty players to invest in now that could be worth more a year from now. And Pickens was on my short list of answers. I really like him for fantasy this year. You said the ADP is rising. I'm still able to get him in round 5. Have you seen him jump earlier than that?
No, I've seen him about there. Yeah.
Okay. Yeah. So I really like taking him where I grab like a receiver in round 1, mm-hmm. and Pickens ends up being my 3rd receiver or 4th. Yeah. But usually my wide receiver 3. Very content with that. And I think that volatility you ride because it's Dallas. I'm expecting them to throw quite a bit. And our wide receiver 3s, I like to have a bit of volatility with. I like the ability to have some ceiling with. Mm-hmm. When I look at like players going off the board near him, Jalen Waddle's kind of right next to him. Yeah, give me Pickens over Waddle. I mean, I think if Tyreek Hill stays healthy all year and another volatile guy, if he does his thing, perhaps Waddle is more of the floor play that we've seen in previous seasons, with Pickens being the ceiling play.
Yeah, and that is something that we often talk about, but I think when people are putting those teams together, Tyler, they sometimes miss that. When you're talking about your wide receiver 3, Pickens to me seems like a fantastic wide receiver 3. I agree with you. Same time, if you drafted CMC and you have some uncertainty with his health, and maybe you drafted Nico Collins and there's some uncertainty with his health, maybe your wide receiver 3 should be Jalen Waddle versus George Pickens, right? So, people want which guy, I'll take Pickens over Waddle, you'll take Pickens over Waddle. But there might be a scenario where it goes the other way. I think that not enough people look at the way their team is constructed when they're making those decisions because, 13 points a week is pretty boring, but maybe 13 points a week is better than having those spike games depending upon how your rosters come together.
It's a fantastic point. The context that is often lacking in these questions is sometimes really needed to give us the best answer for you guys. So if you're in these Discord channels asking us these start-sit questions or who to draft, add the extra sentence of context. We don't mind it. We don't mind reading that extra sentence.
Tyler Bucher, last name spelled Buecher, Tyler Bucher, fantasyguru.com. Let's go to the situation with the Bears. Everyone's excited. Caleb Williams had a nice season last year. Ben Johnson's in town. They're adding pieces on the line. They're adding weapons for him to throw to. Everyone's excited. One of those pieces is Luther Burden. He's not practicing at the start of camp. And he's been injured on and off for a while now, right? And so Jeff Mans was expressing some concern about this. He's like, look, this really seems to make a lot of sense for Luther Burden to have a really strong rookie season, but you got to be on the field. Where are you at with Luther Burden right now? The opportunity certainly seems to be there. What are your thoughts with his value in 2025?
He's been an interesting player where his ADP varies greatly site to site. So he's been kind of a site-specific click for me. But yeah, the day-to-day injury right now we're at with that core muscle he sustained earlier this summer, you're right. He needs to be healthy. He needs to get out there and get out there to run some routes, develop rapport with Caleb. Keenan Allen left 121 vacated targets, 70 receptions. That's a lot for the slot. And we know the slot role has been very fantasy friendly for Ben Johnson in the past. With look no further than Amon-Ra St. Brown. He's also done well with Jarvis Landry in the past and other slot receivers. And Burden, his final 2 years at Missouri, 82% slot rate, 85% slot rate. Yeah, this feels like a fit and glove kind of match. We just need him to be healthy. So I'm taking a little bit of a discount now because this is the type of player where, let's say 2 weeks from now, he's back out in practice. He gets to play that first preseason game. We see him juke out a defender and go yard. He's climbing from like around 11 selection all the way up into 8 or 9. So I'm buying right now. I think we can invest in this Ben Johnson offense with some relative confidence. Mm-hmm. It just takes a little bit of a leap of faith with Caleb Williams, who saw really rough first half, improvement in the second half, but it still takes a leap of faith for him to make Burden, DJ Moore, Roma Dunze, Luther Burden, Colson Loveland. I'm racking up a lot of fingers here on the side. There's a lot of names we're listing here, not even talking about DeAndre Swift as a pass catching back as well. Right. There's a lot of, I don't want to say mouths to feed because it's very cliche, but it's very true. There's just a lot of talented pass catchers here in Cleveland or Chicago, pardon me, where we need Caleb to make that step forward to make a guy like Burden worth that selection.
Tyler Beaker, fantasyguru.com. Chargers sign Najee Harris. Yay! Drafted Marion Hampton. Boo! We've talked about this before. They just signed Nyheim Hines. Not that Nyheim Hines is a thing. He may not even make the team, all that kind of stuff. But clearly, there's concern over the health of Najee Harris. The eye issue, Jim Harbaugh was talking to the media. He's like, I don't know. It's like, we don't know what happened. We know he was injured during a firework accident. We know that. Beyond that, with Najee Harris, I mean, it shouldn't be that hard to say, how many fingers am I holding up, kid? Like, and the fact that we don't know, the fact that they won't tell us, the fact that they're signing Nyheim Hines, is it Omarion Hampton to the moon at this point? Like, are you just, hell, Omarion Hampton's getting 20 touches right out of the gate. Let's go.
Yeah, I mean, this guy's climbing from a 4-5 turn pick. I think he will probably land squarely middle 3 by the end of this week because he continues to rise. Harris continues to plummet. I can't click Harris's name at all right now in fantasy drafts. I just think there's a chance that we see a significant amount of time missed based on all this stuff. Listen, the team adding a back in Nyheim Hines, a guy who's been on IR, I think it was for 2 straight years, doesn't really paint the picture any rosier for Harris and this whole mysterious eye thing. I remember when it first reported, I said, let's wait for more information. We have yet to get more information. This has been very frustrating.
Weird.
And Harris has reportedly been in the building for a week now. Right. Training camp started about this time last week for many of the teams. Usually rookies report first and then the veterans go. But the fact that we don't really have any big reports outside of Harbaugh saying, quote, he's doing everything that he can, so just praying for healing, quote. That's not helpful. That doesn't give us anything.
No.
Can he not put on a helmet? Like, what's going on here? I don't know. The situation just continues to look worse. All I can say is Marion Hampton is a very, very talented running back. The Chargers were very surprised to see him fall to them in this year's draft in round 1. I think, like you said, Marion Hampton to the moon. This guy can certainly be the bell cow for the squad that wants to run the ball. We saw it last year. They started the opening month very, very run heavy in this Greg Roman offense. They just didn't finish that way because they couldn't get an efficient rushing attack going. So Hampton to the moon. I think you nailed it right there.
Tyler Beaker, fantasyguru.com. I'm just looking to be brash, Tyler, here on the morning show. Tyler joins us every Thursday at 12:30 Eastern Standard Time. Again, I'll be out next week. Justin Fensterman will be hosting the entire week. He'll be with Tyler on Thursday. Tyler, what you got cracking? What was on the whiteboard before we sign off here? Anything new that's about ready to drop over the site?
Yeah, very big project. I kind of teased it last week on the show. The wide receiver versus coverage scheme article. I've been working on it for quite some time now. Excited to unveil that. Basically looking at which receivers do well against different types of coverages, whether it's man or zone, cover 1, cover 2, cover 3, cover 4. Who do we want to target against these types of coverages? And not only that, I also took the defensive schedule for every single team, looking at how frequently, let's say, a player that does really well against man coverage, how often will they face man coverage this upcoming season, so that we can really hit on those types of mismatches and exploit it, whether it be in redraft, DFS, or our betting forays, where there's plenty of things that are going to make this super notable. Last year, it told me to draft Nico Collins everywhere I could, and he came through with flying colors when healthy. Hoping to get some more nuggets like that to unveil to you guys very shortly here. Check that out on Fantasy Guru. It'll be published tomorrow on Friday.
Yeah, click that subscribe tab in the top right corner if you haven't signed up yet. Remember, it's a full season product. Get signed up now. You get coverage all year long. If there's any questions you have, you want to combo packages together, do something exotic as well, send a note to support@fantasyguru.com. Support@fantasyguru.com. Tyler Bucher, one of the best in the biz, joins us again every Thursday. He'll be around at the website. You look for his articles, hit him up in Discord, all that kind of good stuff. And he's been doing a lot of podcast work with Armando Marsal. And he's also part of the 20 podcasts for the preseason product at fantasyguru.com. Those are coming out periodically here as we move toward week 1. So check all of that out over at fantasyguru.com. Tyler, as always, been a pleasure. Thanks for your time today. I won't talk to you next week, but Justin will. I'll see you in a couple weeks.
Sounds good. Enjoy your vacation, Ray.
Appreciate it. I'll be back again on August 2nd, but this show goes dark tomorrow on Friday the 25th, returns Monday through Friday next week with Justin Fensterman hosting. For Tyler, I am Ray Flowers. Have a great weekend, folks. I'll see you in a couple. Have a good one. This has been Fantasy Sports Daily, powered by fantasyguru.com.